And welcome back to Hot and Cold Podcast. Today is February 4th. It's Friday, February 4th, and we're coming off a top 10 matchup in the Pac 12. We're going to a weekend full of great games. Full of great games. Both of our teams have big games coming up. But before we get into too much of the episode, I'm with Connor Walker. How are you doing today?
I am great, man. Big week of college basketball. Big day tomorrow.
Big day.
Not
Huge
just
day.
for us, but just in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's serious Big Ten implications tomorrow with Indiana, Illinois. Um, again, I Illinois is first right now. I don't know if they're going to finish there. That's at the 12 o'clock slot. It kind of, if you look at
It's all
the
spread
time
out,
frames,
which is nice.
pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big East, Uconn Villanova tomorrow, huge game. And then you go to 2:30, Michigan Purdue. That's going to be a big one as far as Big Ten implications as well. And then if you go to the 4 o'clock slate, Baylor and Kansas, which
there you go.
Agbaji was cleared today.
Agbaji's back.
Right before the Baylor game.
Hey, he did miss a big game against Iowa State. Look, I've been all over Iowa State being fraudulent. I've been all over that. They're not a good team. They're having a very bad stretch right now. They're going to be in the tournament. They're probably a top 25 team, but they rose up those rankings pretty quickly off of a couple fraudulent victories. Now, Baylor, Kansas is going to be a battle. We'll get to the previews at the end of the show, and don't forget Kentucky at Alabama. Kentucky at Alabama is going to be a raucous environment. And hopefully it happens. I know they're having a little bit of trouble getting out of the state because of the snow. Yeah. So I'd expect it to happen. Calipari said he has no worries about it. Nate Oates said the same thing. So let's hope, fingers crossed, because that's going to be a good game. Alabama plays out of their minds against top 5 teams. And now that Kentucky is 5th in the nation, it's kind of a big deal. So,
don't forget, doesn't matter if these teams are good or bad. ESPN just had Duke, North Carolina is playing. So
yeah, did we even touch on that? I think we purposefully didn't even touch on
it. You can't forget. Doesn't matter who's playing. Doesn't matter if Kentucky's top 5. They're playing at 8. So it doesn't matter what other games are going on at that time. They will flex better games out of the ESPN primetime slot for that game. Kentucky, Alabama is a better game than Duke, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. They're lucky that they spread it out because it's 4 o'clock Baylor, Kansas, 6 o'clock Duke, North Carolina, and 8 o'clock Kentucky, Alabama.
The prime time, guessing Billis will be there, Duke, whatever.
Sure.
But the number one broadcasting team will be at that game. It's not I don't even know if it's the 5th best game of the day.
I don't think it is. USC Arizona is a game we didn't even talk about. I think that will probably be a better game.
Yeah.
And on paper, it definitely is. And then Gonzaga BYU. This is Gonzaga's biggest test in the West Coast Conference. They're going to BYU. We'll see what happens. BYU was ranked for part of this year. That was probably going to be a better game than Duke, North Carolina.
But it's just not a good game. And North Carolina, again, I think they're 16-6.
Yeah.
They're just not good.
They're worse than that record because when Kentucky played them in Vegas, that team was incredibly bad. And if Duke loses, Duke loses, because I know it is mostly a close game because UNC's fans are going to be there. It's going to be a great environment. I will say that. But more than likely, it's going to be Duke by 1,000 points. But yes, it'll be the primetime special. It's probably, what's funny though, and when these games happen, when ESPN is trying to push a game this hard, every commercial you watch any college basketball game, you'll see that commercial about Duke, North Carolina on Saturday. Watch it. That will have the worst ratings out of all of those games.
100%.
But when you get down to it,
just looking at the ESPN slate at 12 o'clock, I think Illinois, Indiana is going to be a better game. Almost every Big Ten fan is going to be tuning into that at some point. That's at 12. The 4 o'clock game is Baylor, Kansas. going to be huge ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who the 2:00 game is. Kentucky, Alabama's at 8.
That's West Virginia, Texas Tech. Even that, like West Virginia is a good team, and it's at West Virginia.
And the whole time it's going to be like, oh, by the way, tune in for the 6:00 game.
Oh, gosh.
Like they're not even going to mention the other. It's going to be so annoying.
I think the
Kentucky game might not start till 9:00.
Well, yeah, if they do the TV scheduling and they don't just start it. Look, if I have to turn to another Kentucky game and I have to watch ESPN News to catch the first 5 minutes of that game,
you probably will.
I will.
There's no way you won't.
I do it
12, 2, 4,
I had to
6,
do it for
8.
Kentucky, Kansas. I had to go to ESPN News for Kentucky versus Kansas. I was livid. I was livid. I was like, Alabama's blowing Baylor out right now. Like, I just want to watch this game.
I can't believe that we've gotten to this point and ESPN continues to schedule games 2 hours apart.
Oh my gosh.
It's just not how that works. It
Kentucky
should be 2.5
versus
hours.
Vandy went for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It was a long game. It was so hard to watch the game, but it did go for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. But we can start getting into the episode. So UCLA played Arizona last night, and it was a fun game to watch. Look, Connor is going to say he's Nostradamus. He knew it was going to happen, and he's been saying this. This, and it does make sense. You play a team so close together in succession, it doesn't really mean anything. A split was bound to happen. Arizona adjusted. Tommy Lloyd's a great coach. He learned from Mark Few how to adjust to teams. And they dominated UCLA. Johnny Juzang was just back off of his health and safety protocols. He didn't play very well. UCLA didn't really look like themselves. Arizona kind of controlled the pace a little bit. They only put up 66 points, which is not like UCLA. And it was just an all-around effort. Benedict Mathurin only had 11 points, and they still won the game. So, Connor, tell us why it was, why you're such a genius and why this was, bound to happen.
Look, we didn't record previewing this game, but if you go back and look at the first matchup, Arizona had a guy shoot 0 of 12 and 5 of 22 and only lost by 16. And when you play a team this close, obviously it's really hard to beat them twice, especially the first time you beat them. Seemed like a dominating performance, but really Arizona, if you probably asked them, was like, hey, we just played really bad. But again, if you look at this performance from UCLA, you could say, well, UCLA is just going to claim they played really bad.
Yeah.
It was just bound to happen. I mean, this was the easiest bet in the world. I wish I would have publicized this and actually bet some money on it. I mean, Arizona money line was the easiest bet in the world. It's just bound to happen.
Arizona -7. Do you think that was the easiest bet in the world? Like hindsight 2020, but would you have taken Arizona -7? That's a lot of points. I think I would have actually.
Okay. I think I would have, especially with Juzang coming off the protocols. I think that's a tough situation for them. Baji's going to be dealing with that tomorrow with Kansas, but I think that when your best player is not practicing with the team, that's obviously not going to help you. So again, I think -7 probably was an easy bet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect to close the game. I really didn't.
No, and
UCLA is better though. UCLA is better. No doubt about it. I think UCLA is better.
Yeah. No, and I think UCLA, they started off the year in the top 5. They kind of dropped off a bit after their long COVID pause, but now they're back in, and I think they are a legitimate Final Four contender. I don't think they're pretenders. There's a lot of teams I call out for being pretenders. I don't think they are one of them. You could think differently. I know preseason you weren't too high on them. I was a little bit higher than you were. I wasn't crazy high. Johnny Juzang's finally kind of bad game, but he's kind of forming into place a little bit. He's kind of showing why he was the National Player of the Year preseason. And I don't think he'll win, but I think he's done a damn good job of getting back into form for the tournament.
Yeah, they
are going to be scary come March. And I'm not taking anything away from Arizona. I think there's a ceiling to this team. I think Benedict Mathurin, awesome talent. Maybe NBA all-star potential. I don't know how good he'll be. He has these off nights, and like every game I tune into Arizona, he does not play well. But I get it. He's a huge wing. He can do everything you want him to do if you're, an NBA scout. But I feel like there's a ceiling to this team athletically, kind of like they're long, they're big, but some of those guys just lack the athleticism. I don't know. I think there's a kind of a ceiling. Arizona fans are going to come after me for this. So I think they're definitely number 2 in the Pac-12, but I don't know about them as a legitimate Final Four contender. That's kind of my take on them. But yeah, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think that they are a team that is going to have a really good regular season. It could potentially get bounced early. Like, I just don't know if I trust them yet.
I said 2 15s are going to be two seeds. Is this one of them? Remember that weird take I had? Like, I just thought this March is going to be
especially
crazy.
Round of 32. I really think they could, if they
get
a bad matchup. I really that would be an upset that I would maybe pick. And also to UCLA. I think they are scary because they have so much experience, and I think that plays into their benefit. But I still think that last year was a product of an unlikely run from Johnny Juzang. If he can get back to that, okay, maybe they are Final Four national championship contenders. I don't think they're going to get there. I don't think he can do that again. But if he does, I mean, he's last year too. He was kind of up and down, and then late in the year, it was a run that was unbelievable. If he can do that again, then they have no ceiling. I mean, it's no ceiling for them.
The thing I love about UCLA is the kind of yin and yang of the product on the court of the players they have in Mick Cronin's coaching style. I think the guys they have on the court, when you watch them play, Tiger Campbell is amazing at getting guys involved. Johnny Juzang is electric on the offensive side of the court. So, same with Jaime Jaquez, same with Jules Bernard. Those guys are electric offensively. And then you mix that with Mick Cronin's defensive prowess and the way that he kind of mucks it up on the defensive end. And these guys are all bought in. I don't think they lack offensively or defensively, which is always scary. Usually with these teams at the top, you see like one facet of their game is above the rest. I think they are equal offensively and defensively. And I think that makes for a legitimate title contender. I think that's what makes them scary. So it was the same thing in the tournament. You saw there would be one game they put up 80, and they put up almost 100. I think I don't remember the final score against Gonzaga, but they almost put up 100 on them. And then you go back and you look at the game against Abilene Christian or Michigan when they only have 50, but they're controlling the pace. They're still in control of the game. They're playing to the other team and kind of keeping them out of their comfortability. And I think that is something that makes for a legitimate title contender. But enough of that. Also, shout out Wyoming. I think the Mountain West. Look, the Mountain West, not enough people are talking about it. They're going to get more teams in than the ACC.
Yeah, almost
legitimately.
They're both projected at 4 right now.
I think if you add together them and the WCC combined, they're getting more in than the ACC and the Pac-12. I think that was in Lenardi's bracketology. I think I read that. That's an insane stat. That's absurd. The West is back in. Like the West had an awesome tournament run last year. They're back. They're absolutely back. So I think that's good to see. Kind of every region is getting in on it. But yeah, enough of that. Shout out Wyoming. I have a game. We've played this before. I don't remember what the game was called. We can trademark a name right now. Our viewers can give us a name for it, but it is a fun game, and I love playing it. I bring it out probably 2 to 3 times a year. I haven't brought it out this year. I give Connor a set of stats. I give him 2 teams with a set of stats for each. I'm giving him Ken Palm ranking, net ranking, offensive adjusted efficiency, adjusted defensive efficiency, strength of schedule, and if they've played, I give them the head-to-head of the 2 teams. So I'm giving him 3 matchups. I'm not telling him which teams are which, and he's going to tell me who he thinks is the better team. You can write. I have them written down.
What order are you going to give these in? What order are you going to give the
stats?
Yeah.
KenPom, net, offensive efficiency.
Okay.
Defensive efficiency, strength of schedule, and head-to-head. That's how I'm giving them.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, look, I can't give him any hints at first, so I'm just going to say I have a reason for picking all of these teams. I have a reason that I kind of made the connection in my head. I think they're interesting. I'm not playing gotcha. There may be some of that. You may think, oh, Sam's just trying to push his ridiculous takes. No, I'm legitimately just curious to see how these played out. I thought it was fun writing them out. That's enough of that. I'm going to start with this first team. This first team, they're KenPom, 26. Their net, 25. Offensive, 60. Defensive, 23. Strength of schedule, 16. And in the head-to-head, these two teams split. Home and home. The other team has a 51st KenPom ranking, a 29th net ranking, 52nd offensive efficiency, 59th defensive efficiency, and 40th in the strength of schedule department. So there is some wide, look, I thought it was cool. A lot of these stats are just completely different. But these two teams are put in the same kind of conversation.
Okay.
Which team is better? Team 1 is 26 KenPom. Team 2 is 51st KenPom.
I mean, the one thing that I really look at that is glaring is the strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And then the defensive efficiency. Those are the two things that I think are the most important. The KenPom and net can get a little weird.
Yeah.
As far as how they rank, luck and all that stuff that gets factored in. But I really think it's hard to not address the 3 rankings of strength of schedule, offensive and defensive efficiency. So give me team 1. Who is it?
Marquette. The Marquette Golden Eagles, you think are better than the Providence Friars?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was interested. Providence has 2 losses on the year. They're at the top of the Big East. And I saw people clamoring for them to be in the top 10 of the AP top 25. Their KenPom is 51st in the country with 2 losses. 2 losses on their schedule, and somehow they're 51st. If you look into it, we've talked about it on the podcast. Their luck rating, which I don't know how he quantifies it. I've tried to look into it, but you need a subscription, whatever. It's a whole big ordeal. Yeah. Is number 1. They're the luckiest team in the country. They've beaten teams they definitely should not have.
Yeah.
In the same conference as Marquette. Their strength of schedule is 40th in the nation compared to 16th.
I mean, if you look at because you said they split.
They split.
I went back and looked at it. So Marquette won at home by 32.
By 32, yes.
And Providence wins at home by 2.
By 2, yeah.
Clearly, Marquette's having a rough game on the road, still hanging in, which shows that a team is good.
Mm-hmm.
And
they led for most of the game.
I'm pretty sure Providence got lucky at the end and had some free throws that won them the game. So
I'm just
saying, Providence is a clear team again. Upset alert.
Oh my god.
Very good team. And they can, they can play into the narrative bulletin board material. I saw that Al Durham and Ed Cooley were like, nobody respects us. And we like that. And that's fine. I love it. But I just don't. Look, I love Al Durham. Great player at IU. He's one of their main guys. And every IU fan saw that while we loved him here, he couldn't do that on a consistent basis. And I just don't trust him. I just don't trust it.
Ed Cooley is a great coach. And I think this is all on Ed Cooley because he's taking this roster, which I think objectively is worse than a lot of the teams around him in the top 25, with an offensive efficiency of 52nd and a defensive efficiency of 59th in the nation. He's taking them and overachieving to a new level. That is all coaching. So shout out to Ed Cooley, but he's going to run into somebody in the second round or the first round, probably the first round. He's going to get
Cooley
taken down.
Is, to a certain degree, he's similar to Matt Painter in the fact that they're very good when nobody respects them and doesn't give them any expectations. Then they can exceed where people have them at, and they're like, wow, he's doing a great job. Like, he's doing a really good job. They should be where they're at. And if you look at Purdue this year, everybody's like, they're going to run through the Big Ten. Who's going to beat them?
Right.
It's already happened. And Purdue went from being the clear-cut national title favorite to, well, they're pretty good. They're in that discussion, but they're not running away from anybody.
That's true. That's very true. And look, Marquette, I think their roster is significantly better than Providence's. Yeah. I believe that. I think Daryl Marcel is having a fantastic year, better than I thought he would play at Marquette. And look, Shaka Smart inherited this roster. He kind of brought in a lot of these guys. Their defense has been off the charts. They're overachieving as well. They're one of the hottest teams in America. They just beat Villanova. It controlled Villanova, might I add. Yeah. So I really like this Marquette team, and I think juxtaposed to Providence, I think they have a chance to really make a run. I think they have a chance to make it far in the tournament. And I think Shaka just needed to get away from the bright lights in Texas and a big program like that. He just succeeds in these small teams. And look, Justin Lewis on Marquette, he needs to be in discussion for Big East Player of the Year. With the way that they're overachieving, I really like this team. But kind of moving on, let's get to the second matchup, which is very, very interesting. Really brought me, it kind of showed me a little bit about this. So I'm going to get this here. Yep. Team 1, Ken Palm, 17. Net, 19. Offense, 30. Defense, 26. Strength of schedule, 13. Okay. Team 2, Ken Palm, 18. Let's see, net, 22nd. Offense, 8th. Defense, 77th. Strength of schedule, 3rd.
Wow.
You're gonna understand this when I kind of tell you which teams are which. You're gonna understand.
This team, did they split? What was the?
They never played. These two teams never played. Okay. I made the connection on my own. Like they don't like. They're not in the same conference or anything like that.
Looking at this again, the defensive rating is shocking. Could be a product of their strength of schedule, but 77th isn't good.
No,
and when you just compare the numbers, that's the glaring stat. Look, I mean, everything else is relatively close. I mean, offensive efficiency isn't that close, but 8 to 30 is much better than 77 to 26.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer the first team.
Okay.
But again, it's close because the 8th best offense, 77, that gives me like a Tom Crean Indiana vibe team.
That offense is insane.
Really good.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, I don't trust. If you can't play defense, then I don't know if I trust you. So I'm going to go with first team.
Can you guess who that second team is?
I don't even want to guess.
Just guess. Just guess.
Give me the conference.
No, I'll give it away. Yeah.
Would I give it away? Man, I don't know.
I'll just do it. It's the first team. The first team was Michigan State.
Okay.
Look, I've been all over Michigan State. I've been kind of calling them frauds since the beginning. After I just don't. I'm looking at this team. Eye test just doesn't really work out, in my opinion. The second team is a team that's disappointed from the jump. So that's why I chose these two teams, completely opposite trajectories. And that team is Alabama.
Okay, yeah.
That is the Alabama Crimson Tide. I was wondering how you would react to that, because that is one of the biggest splits between offense and defense I could find. 8th to 77th.
Off air, I have compared the Arkansas and Alabama style of play to Tom Crean's at Indiana. A lot of threes,
sure,
fast break points, not a lot of defense going on. I don't think it's sustainable. I think that's why Alabama is so volatile and they can keep up with anyone. But then if they have a bad shooting performance, they can also lose to damn near anybody in the country.
Oh yeah, they've proven that. Iona, Georgia, Memphis, like Missouri, those aren't good losses. Those are
really
terrible.
Bad.
But they've beaten, Gonzaga. They kept it close with Auburn. They beat Houston. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, I think Michigan State is, I don't know, they're like 10th, aren't they? Aren't they ranked like in the top 10?
Yeah, they were up there. I don't know if they dropped it all, but yeah.
The Michigan game was kind of telling to me. Michigan was hot, and they kind of shut Dickinson down. I think that there are limitations with them because they kind of rely on Max Christie to carry them and be their number one guy, which I think is
they're 13th in the country right now.
Yeah, okay, that's probably fair. I think they might be a little better than that, but there are glaring holes with that team. But I think they're in the top 15 for sure.
I just don't see it with Michigan State, and you can tell me why I'm wrong. Give me your best sales pitch on Michigan State, because every time I watch them, I am not impressed with their style of play, with their players. The players at the top, even like Gabe Brown, even him, like he's fine. He's their best player, and I just can't seem to get over that. They don't have really bad losses. Look, they lost to Northwestern by 2, but that was kind of fluky. They lost to Illinois in just a grinded out match. Like, a lot of their games have been very close, which is always kind of concerning and kind of telling of a team. They're going into Rutgers, and Rutgers has proven they could beat anybody in that conference. So just give me your best sales pitch on them and why I shouldn't be so critical of the Spartans, because I have an open mind.
The sales pitch would be is that they don't rely on one person, I guess. Like, yes, Max Christie is arguably their top scorer, but Bingham can have a 15-10 game. Gabe Brown can go off for 17, 18 points in a game. Hauser can go off. He is a good rebounder. He can provide that 3-point shooting. Malik Hall coming off the bench. He's another guy that can give you 15 and 10 off the bench easily. There's so many guys on this team that you kind of have to account for, while also you can also underestimate them at the same time. Be like, well, he doesn't average that many points. We don't need to really look at him. I think that from a tournament perspective, Alabama is a team that I would, they're more likely for that run, I think, because if they get hot, they're going. I don't think Michigan State has that ceiling to where they can really get to the Final Four, because they're going to run into a team that's hot, and I don't know if they can keep up. But again, they go to Wisconsin and beat them. Johnny Davis has 25 and they still win. Yeah. Because it was just an effort from everybody. Nobody had more than 14 in that game.
I picked Alabama in Michigan State just because of how opposite they are. I think Michigan State's floor is
very high floor,
very high, like extremely high. And I think Alabama's is obviously maybe the lowest in the country, like one of the lowest in the country. But their ceilings are completely different. They're just completely different teams that I wanted to compare them just to see how you would react. But yeah, I mean, look, Michigan State has something rolling for them. They have a Hall of Fame coach. Like, that's huge. Like, that is massive.
That might be the biggest advantage.
Yes.
Izzo versus Nate Oates. And not a Nate Oates hater. His style is working, and it's working in the recruiting. It's working on the floor. It is high risk, high reward. We'll see if it works out. I'd rather a team. Well, that's an interesting. What would you rather have a team that you like watching? Because I've kind of had to deal with this year's Indiana team versus like a Korean team. Well, everybody's like, well, this IU team isn't fun.
Sure.
The Korean era was fun. Yeah, they didn't win, but it was fun. Threes, fast breaks, dunks. This Indiana team, it's pound the ball into the post, some dunks, really good defense. What would you rather have?
What would I rather watch, or what would I rather have my team doing?
Have your team doing?
Yeah, definitely not what Tom Crean is doing or has done with Indiana. Definitely not what Nate Oates is doing, because when I watch a game, I don't think the way Alabama scores, I don't think the way that Tom Crean's team scores, when you're relying that heavily on your offense, it's a recipe for disaster. Look, I think what Kentucky has right now, I'm saying this, I'm the Kentucky fan, so I'm going to kind of compare it back to them. Like, they have games like that. They have games against Tennessee. They have games against Kansas where they can blow them out. They can, absolutely destroy them. But then they have games against Vandy. They have games against Mississippi State. They have games against Texas A&M where they're not scoring well. But what I love about this team is they can kind of grind the game out. They can win ugly. They can win on the defensive side of the ball. Alabama can't do that. They lost to Georgia because they were off. They lost to Missouri because they were off. And even in those games, even when you're shooting well, if the other team gets hot, because they're going to have the open shots, they're going to have the easy runs to the basket. If they get hot, even if you're hot, it's going to be close, and they're going to have as much of a chance as you do to win that game. So look, it's a lame saying. I'm going to sound like a dad saying it, but defense wins championships, and that's true. That is 100% true.
So are you still taking Alabama, or are you taking Michigan State?
I've talked myself in a circle. I don't think Alabama, like, their ceiling is a serious national champion. Like, they play like a national championship team. I'm not saying they can't put together 6 wins in a row like that. I don't think they can. But when they're playing like that, they're playing better than anybody in the country. So I'm taking that. I'm taking that over Michigan State, because look, if I'm picking on who I think will go farther in the tournament, give me Alabama. Give me Alabama all day, every day. Especially because, look, they're going to go into this tournament probably 7, 8, 9 seed. They're going to be the dog in almost all those games, and they perform
so you think
well as a dog.
If they're an 8, 9, they'll still go farther? Because they'll have to beat a 1 seed.
I know,
most likely.
Michigan State will have to beat a 5 seed.
Yeah,
I don't think they will.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think their ceiling is so low compared to these other teams. I don't think they will.
Huh. All right.
Yeah. So give me.
Alabama's going to beat Kentucky. That's what you're saying.
It's going to be close. They're going to play their ass off. No, you're saying like that in the tournament? No. At Bama, it's going to be close. They're not beating Kentucky on a neutral site, because Kentucky can run with them. They have the offensive capabilities to run
any
with
1 seed.
Except
here again. Let me just poke a hole in your take. The 1 seed that they can't beat again. No, I don't think they won't beat Gonzaga again. I don't think they beat Gonzaga again.
They have. They've proven that
they won't beat Kentucky.
No, I don't think they will. But they can.
Who are the other 1 seeds?
Who are the other 1 seed? Duke will probably maybe be a 1 seed by the end of the year. By the end of the year, you don't think? When they run through the ACC tournament the last month of the season?
They're not running through it, though, like I thought they would.
And they're this national storyline. They always get like a seed bump at the end of the year. I don't think maybe UCLA. UCLA may run through their conference.
Are they going to beat Auburn?
Yeah, no, Auburn's the other 1 seed. No.
I don't know if there's a 1 seed they can beat. Are they going to beat UCLA?
No, they can beat UCLA. I think that's the team they can beat. It's UCLA.
Michigan State. All right, let's move on. Whatever. I'm taking Michigan State. I just want to poke a hole in your
No, that's fine. No, and I get it because Alabama's a weird team to talk about. It's a weird team to have an opinion on because they'll prove you wrong the next game.
100%.
The third matchup, team 1, ranked 10th in KenPom. This is the last one. Ranked 10th in KenPom, 9th in the net, 3rd in offense, 46th in defense, 8th in strength of schedule. Team 2, 11th KenPom, 10th net, 54th offense, 3rd defense.
Here we go.
9th strength of schedule.
Yep,
Head to head, they split home and home. I loved writing this one. This one was so hard for me.
We just had this conversation, offense versus defense. I mean, I'm taking
this is the epitome of it. Okay.
I can't wait to see who this is.
You're gonna hate me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take team 2. I have a feeling it might be Kentucky.
No.
No. Okay, thank God. I'm taking team 2. I look the 46th. I mean, that's not bad. That's not a terrible defensive rate. Whatever.
It's not bad at all. I'm just saying, it's a complete yin and yang. Both of these teams are true, they're good teams, both of them.
Yeah.
But you picked team 2, correct?
Yeah.
It was Kansas versus Texas Tech. This is the only one that it was kind of okay, Sam's playing, gotcha with Connor right now. So from an objective standpoint, you love Kansas. You have loved Kansas.
Yeah. Been a little disappointed.
Yes. Tell me why you're taking Texas Tech, those stats. Tell me why you're not even taking Texas Tech. You're taking those stats over the other team's stats.
Look, it's the conversation we just had. Basically, I trust the defense. I think 54th offensive rating can win you a game on a neutral site. Playing into that, the Texas Tech Kansas game, Texas Tech comes all the way back. Kansas ends up winning. Again, is that the crowd? Is that the environment? Agbaji hitting that big 3. Look, you could say they got lucky. They might have. Going into this season, I really thought that I'm surprised they even have the 3rd best offense because Remy Martin has been such a disappointment. They don't have a point guard.
I don't know how they're number 3.
My whole thing.
Experienced
backcourt. They don't have that anymore. Right. They don't have a point guard. McCormick has not been good. As good as I thought he would be, at least. And they're not struggling, but they're kind of, Torres picked them to win too. And I'm guessing it was partially based off of Remy Martin's impact.
Sure.
You can see with even against Kentucky, the lulls.
Mm-hmm.
They hit a wall on offense, man. They're in trouble because defensively they cannot stop people.
No. And I think a lot of that comes from, you think, when you have an undersized center, Kentucky has an undersized center, Oscar Tshiebwe. Kansas has an undersized center, and David McCormick, he's 6'8", 6'9". When you have that, they've got to be pretty damn talented or work their ass off. Oscar works his ass off. McCormick is struggling because he's undersized, and plus he just doesn't have the intangibles, the skills, really the hustle that a lot of these guys have to keep up. And I think that is part of the reason defensively they get torched sometimes. And look, you can talk about it. Christian Brown, he's this is going to sound bad. He's sneaky athletic. He's a guy that he's quick. He has a lot of bounce, but he's fine defensively. But he's going to get beat off the dribble a lot of the time. Ochai Agbaji has always been known as a great 3-and-D guy. But he's putting in so much effort into the offensive side of the floor that he can't put as much as he has in the past on the defensive side. And then you got DeJuan Harris, who's very undersized, and he can't do it either. So it's really interesting to see that, how their defense has just kind of struggled over the past month or so. And look, they only have 3 losses. I'm not acting like Kansas is just out, But just when you watch their games, they're so hard to watch. Their guard play isn't great. Their big men play is not great. Oche is the only thing that they have. And when he struggles, they don't play well whatsoever. And look, they had a gritty win against Iowa State at Iowa State without him. But I mean, Iowa State is Iowa State. And look, I'm not discrediting the Jayhawks or whatever. That Hall of Fame coach syndrome. They have Bill Self on the bench. They can win it all. They can still cut down the nets. There's just some glaring holes in this team. And I'm not taking away from Texas Tech. I know you picked them. Mark Adams has done an incredible job with this team. He has constructed a roster of these incredible transfers that were overlooked in the portal. And O'Banner entered late. They kind of lucked into having an open spot for him. Adonis Arms from Winthrop, from off the bench, is just providing so much for them. Bryson Williams coming onto this scene. This is a great team. Like, they've constructed a fantastic team in Lubbock. And I was so happy to see the good guys kind of beat Texas Tech or Texas. I thought that was an incredible game to watch. Chris Beard is kind of the villain down in that state, but that's kind of my take on it.
The one thing I will say is when you get teams that are, for the most part, evenly matched, if you just look at strength of schedule, KenPom, and net, if you look at them in a head-to-head game, winner take all, the other thing you have to look at is who has the head coach advantage and who has the best player advantage.
Yeah.
I would say Kansas probably has both of those. And that's something that carries a lot of weight that I don't think factors in all the time to the KenPom and all these rankings that you can look at.
And you can't quantify that. Like, I guess, like on these, I can start putting. I think the best part about this game is the anonymity of like not knowing which team is which. And if I start putting like Hall of Fame coach, stuff like that, it just starts to more detail it, and it's kind of obvious who I'm picking. But that's kind of what I did. I like playing this game. We can keep playing it if you want. Like, we can do it once a week or something. But I like it. You can make it for me next time if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I want to. You played me with that Kansas one a little bit, so I'll have to.
Oh, I did play you so bad, and
I'll have to get you back a little bit.
Yeah. I don't. Should we establish ground rules? Like, I got you with Kansas. I got you with Kansas. But I didn't get you with like Indiana. I could have reached for like an Indiana one that would have pissed you off, but I didn't. So, are we gonna do that with? Like, are Kentucky and Indiana off limits, or is everything game?
Yeah, we'll say they're off limits.
Okay.
But we have our other teams that we support. So
we both have affinities for some teams. We both do. Okay. Well, all right. Kind of moving on. Let's do a quick preview of this weekend. I know we're kind of going over on time. We've been here for a minute, but okay. Uconn Villanova to start off our Saturday. Look, this is two of the best teams in the conference. We already talked about Providence. We're not believers in Providence. Spoiler alert. I just kind of like, I'm out on Villanova. You're not out on Villanova. Who do you have in this game? At Nova, Uconn at Nova, big time implications. Who do you got? I wish they released the spread because we can kind of play that, but.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be out on Villanova. It's even, I mean, as long as they're in the tournament, I think they can easily make a run. I think Gillespie's been kind of a letdown this year. He hasn't really been super efficient. Been that player, which again, I think if we go back to the episode and look at my All-American team, my guards were Remy Martin and Gillespie. It's like, whew, not good. Both of them kind of disappointed. Yeah, I think Villanova is the better team. I would probably pick them just because they're at home. I don't know what the spread is since it's not out yet, but it's going to be a close one. I think UConn hangs around for Torres' sake. An upset wouldn't be. I mean, I would be opposed. I think that there's a common theme between these Big East teams in that they're just tough, gritty teams.
Yeah,
and I think they're all kind of alike in that way.
And
I
the
think
culture,
Xavier's kind of the one that can score a lot of points, but they can also play that grinded out style, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes in the tournament. History would say not great. That's kind of how the Big Ten plays, and it usually doesn't translate well to these other teams, from the SEC, the Pac-12. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I'll take Nova in a close one.
Okay. I think UConn presents a matchup nightmare against Villanova in Adama Sanogo. This guy is a monster in the paint. And look, Villanova, we talked about it with Fana before the season started. We were all over it. We've talked about it in previous episodes after that. They don't have any big men. They don't have the big man depth to do anything. They have to outshoot their opponent, or they're all or nothing. That's why they're 16-6 on the season. Playing at Villanova is not an easy task, and I never will say it is, but I think UConn, if they are ready for the task, like if they can play to their potential, because they have a high potential, their guards are awesome. Sanogo is I think he was in talks for Big East Player of the Year. I'll take UConn. Why not? I'll be the yin to your yang, but yeah, let's do it. Illinois at IU. This is a game that you've been waiting on. This is the game, other than Purdue, I think this was the game at Assembly Hall that everybody was circling. Again, I'll let you go first, or actually I'll go since this is your team. I'll go first, and you can kind of call me an idiot, whatever. Look, Illinois presents a similar problem to what Purdue presented to Indiana. They have obviously Kofi Cockburn in the paint. He's just an animal. And that's always kind of been a problem for Trace, it seemed. And Indiana weathered the storm against Purdue. Trace got in foul trouble, maybe for his own benefit, because as soon as he got subbed out, I'm not being an idiot and saying, oh, Trace not playing was the reason they won that game, but Michael Durr coming in and being that kind of spark plug defensive, just kind of match the size a little bit to Purdue's big man. It really helped them out. So we'll see how Indiana kind of attacks that. I think Trace said something about doubling Kofi every time he touches the ball, and how Wisconsin should have done that, which, I mean, if you watch the game, they were, collapsing on Kofi every time he touched the ball. So just watch a little more tape. Anyways, it's really hard to win an Assembly. It depends on how many people they let in this state or arena tomorrow. I'll go Indiana for your sake. I think they can win at home. I think being at home is a huge deal in the Big Ten. It always has been, always will be. And I think Illinois is kind of not the team they were at all last year. And I think Indiana can take advantage of that.
Yeah. Are you going?
I haven't made the decision. Why would I spoil that for everybody? Because then everybody's just going to be making money off of me. It's like you're acting like I'm a college player pre-NIL. People are just making money off of my name, image, and likeness.
All right. I was just curious. Look, I think that, like you said, Purdue and Illinois provide serious issues for Indiana defensively. The only difference is, and Mike Woodson said it, which I thought was funny, because he was talking about foul trouble. Woodson basically was just like, yeah, I just hope we get them in foul trouble instead, because they don't have that second guy behind Kofi, and that's hurt them this year when he gets in foul trouble.
They thought Omar Payne was going to be that from Florida. It just hasn't really worked out that way, but go ahead.
And, if he gets in foul trouble, then I really like Indiana's chances, because they're really going to dominate the boards and the physicality of the game. Trace has not performed well against Kofi. I don't know how that's going to go tomorrow. I wouldn't start him on Kofi. I would put Race on him. I don't know what they're going to do. With that, it's also a battle of the glue guys. Williams for Illinois is just, I know I tweeted about it, but
you were salty about that.
He and Race are huge, impactful players for these teams, and I think that they'll probably even each other out. Mm-hmm. I don't think Kofi's going to have a huge game. I think Indiana's going to do their best to make somebody else beat them. If Plummer gets hot, I think that's kind of Indiana's Achilles heel. If he gets hot, I don't think they can keep up. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling.
I shouldn't make you pick on your own team, should I?
I'll pick Indiana, but
okay.
Like I think that somebody's going to have to make shots. I don't know who guards Plummer tomorrow either. Thinking about Miller Kopp running around screens is not good for me. I don't really like that. Trent Fraser's another guy that could really go off. Like they're going to have to find someone offensively on the perimeter to make shots because Fraser and Plummer and Curbelo, somebody's going to make shots and they're going to have to keep up with that. Like Stefanovic didn't shoot well for Purdue.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's the deal breaker for them.
Plummer's been pretty lights out though. Plummer's been good.
Out. He wasn't great against Wisconsin either, and they still won because Covey went off. That's kind of the give and take.
Sure.
So I'll take Indiana, but they've got to shut down their shooters because I don't know who is going to shoot that well for Indiana. So,
and by the way, maybe the biggest matchup is Trent Fraser guarding Xavier Johnson. If
do you think he guards him?
He may. I'd assume they put him on the primary ball handler. Look, we'll see if Xavier Johnson is really new and improved, or if he's just playing out of his mind. Because Trent Fraser can force 1,000 turnovers on him tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's something.
They don't have Rob tomorrow again, so
I don't know why I made the pick. I'm picking it solely off it being in Assembly Hall. I think Illinois wins almost every matchup on the court, but there's just something about it. And I think Brad Underwood is kind of an idiot, and we'll just see how
You'd almost say that you'd almost could argue that Woodson has the coaching advantage, which is crazy to say. Like I trust his staff more than Illinois.
Yeah.
Now I think his staff is definitely better.
Illinois staff was just depleted.
Yeah, I mean they don't have anybody.
So
it's funny though, as Bryson would say, you just don't bet against Indiana when they play at home. Doesn't matter who they're playing. You're bound to make money if you live by that.
You're making me want to change my pick. So before I do, what we can change games a little bit. Baylor, Kansas. This is the 4:00 ESPN game. Not the primetime game. We're not doing the primetime game out of spite.
Skipping it.
Yeah, skipping it. Baylor, Kansas. Baylor at Kansas. This is the first matchup of the year for these two teams at the top of the Big 12. You said it earlier. OJ's back. Akinjo he's playing, which is good. He's missed a lot of time. He came back against Alabama, did not play well. But look, Baylor going into Kansas. I'd like the numbers on how many times Bill Self has lost, 2 times in a row at Allen Fieldhouse. I don't think it's much. I don't if it's even happened at all. So it's kind of hard to pick against Kansas, although I do think that Baylor it's a much better team. But look, this is another case for big men versus big men. Baylor's got 2 big men in Flo Thamba and John Chamu-Chachua, who can really present some major problems for Kansas, but Kansas could also play those guys off the court if they bring it small. Matthew Mayer, he may have a big game, may not, but Jalen Wilson has also been playing well to his own right. So I think just based off of, I'm making a lot of picks on this, which is very concerning. Just based off Fog Allen, and they're coming off of a loss, I don't see them losing 2 in a row. I just can't do it. I think Baylor hasn't been performing well either, so I'm going to take Kansas in this one.
Yeah, I am too. I'm not a Baylor believer.
Okay.
I just don't think they're good. I think Matthew Mayer was really overhyped to start this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not that guy. Hasn't been able to.
Did you see the TikTok I sent you?
Mm-mm. Oh, okay. You know what? I think I did.
On Snapchat? Through Snapchat? Oh, well, thanks. Thanks. It was a Matthew Meyer TikTok. This is, you see the unraveling of Hot and Cold Podcast live. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, I don't trust their players yet. I mean, again, it comes down to, like I said earlier, both these teams pretty evenly matched, top of the Big 12. Who has the better player? Who has the best player on the floor? I think it's Kansas. Coming off a COVID pause, though, for him, I don't know how he's going to perform. I think he's going to want to perform well after kind of laying a goose egg against Kentucky, though. So I will take Kansas. Imagine. Shout out to Jared.
Yeah, shout out Jared. And then finally, the 8:00 game on ESPN after. Well, you're gonna have to probably watch the first half of it on ESPN News, but Kentucky goes to Tuscaloosa and I said that wrong. And they play Alabama. This Alabama team that has beaten Gonzaga in the past, they've beaten Houston in the past. They have a lot of great wins, but a lot of bad losses. We've talked enough about Alabama today, so I don't think I'm going to extend that preview anymore. But Kentucky is coming off kind of a sluggish hangover game against Vanderbilt. It's going to be a weird day of traveling with the snow. They're going into a raucous environment. It's kind of stacking up on them, but this Kentucky team has shown that they can win in this environment. And I really like Kentucky. I like Kentucky against Alabama. I think they can keep up with them if Alabama tries to make it a track race. I think they have the shooters to not the shooting capabilities of Alabama, but I think they do have the shooters to kind of keep up. So give me Kentucky, Oscar Tshiebwe with 1,000 rebounds. But
can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Just the rebounding thing, though. Like,
you hate it. You think it's such a fad.
I just don't get it. Like, it doesn't make any, like, I'm guessing Kentucky just leaks. And it's like they leaked the two or three guys. Oscar gets the rebound. The point guard stays back to get the outlet pass. Like, they are willingly saying, we're going to let Oscar get every rebound. And
look, I think that's kind of a misconception because Oscar leads the nation in offensive rebounds.
Sure.
33% of his rebounds are offensive rebounds. He averages 5 rebounds a game. So that translates into 5 new possessions every game. That's huge. That is huge.
But nobody fights him on the boards. Like, Trace could do that if he played by himself, but he also has to fight with race.
No, Keon fights for the boards. Keon had 8 rebounds against Kansas. He averages 5 a game.
I know, the game of his life. Never do it again.
Followed up with 20 the next game against Vandy. Your team, Vandy, your team. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Kentucky exposes Alabama. I think that they run them out of the building, actually.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Look at me. Look at me and you. We're picking. I'm picking IU. You're picking Kentucky. What a great day.
As long as Kellen Grady shoots well.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the one thing that could give Alabama a chance is the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't trust. Kentucky's too good defensively. I don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points to run away with it. And I don't think they have anyone for Oscar either.
I really like Severe and Tai on their guards defensively. Like, I love that. They're both
Severe wants to run, man. So this is a perfect game for him.
Yes, it is. As long as their screens are getting called out. Look, I think Tai sneakily has been maybe the second. No. Oscar has been incredible defensively, but he's probably been the 3rd or 4th best defensive player on this team. Sneaky. Like, he is fantastic in the pick and roll. He's fantastic just denying ball. He played so well in that game against Kansas defensively. Obviously, on the offensive end, it didn't show. But I really like this matchup for us. I think at the beginning of the year, I thought Alabama had the best backcourt in the SEC. And now I think maybe they're 3rd or 4th in the conference, which is an incredible thing to say. Look, I think in the conference, I'm not going to sit here and say Kentucky's is head and shoulders above everybody else, but I think it's close with Auburn, with Wendell Green and KD Johnson. So I think that's going to be an advantage in almost every game they play. So give me Kentucky. I don't know by how much. It's probably going to be pretty close. Even though basically all their wins have been by almost like 20 plus. So who knows? Who knows what could happen? Hopefully they go out there and surprise me again. But that's enough of us. Go enjoy. You're probably going to listen to this on Saturday morning, kind of just to get yourself ready for some college basketball. But Connor, thank you for joining me. That was a good episode. Make sure you get your list ready for Tuesday because I'm ready. Yes. I'm ready for. I thought of a name. I'm just going to call it Blind Resume.
All right.
Blind Resumes. Okay. Cool. Thank you for joining me. Do you want to sign everybody off? I'm going to ask you every episode until you do it.
No, I'm good.
Love you guys.